Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have a special keynote speaker, and he has a Farmingdale history of his own. Often colleges select a commencement speaker who does not relate to or have any actual knowledge of the experiences of the graduates who sit before them. Today is very different. When we discussed the possibility of a commencement speaker, we were looking for someone who truly captured the best of the Farmingdale experience. And we knew quickly that Rushi Kota was that person. In fact, Rushi personifies the very best of the Farmingdale experience. As his biography states, born in India and raised in Queens, Rushi Kota is a modern example of the American dream. And indeed, for thousands like Rushi, FSC has been an engine of opportunity that helps graduates realize those dreams. Now, I will not claim that completing an automotive degree at Farmingdale State College is a guaranteed path to Harvard or a successful acting career. That path is wildly uncommon. We can say, however, that in other ways, Rushi lived the best of the Farmingdale opportunity, and like so many of you who are before us today, he made the most of it. He found new opportunities to thrive, and as Rushi himself has said, he embraced everything about life at FSC. He became a mentor to his fellow students, served as a resident advisor, took on a new role as liaison to FSC's large community of international students. While immersing himself in student life, he was also an outstanding student who was recognized on both the Dean's List and the President's List for his academic achievements. In short, Rushi, like this year's graduates, took unexpected paths to success. His life story is certainly a sterling example of the Farmingdale experience. Class of 2022, friends, parents, guests, please join me in welcoming back to Farmingdale State College, Rushi Kota.
What's up, SUNY Farmingdale graduating class of 2022? Woo! You must all be wondering, who the heck is this guy and why is he up here talking to all of you? Hi, my name is Rushi Kota. Most of you probably never heard of me, and by most of you, I mean all of you. And that's okay. I'm an actor on TV. You may have heard of such shows as Grey's Anatomy on ABC, Ordinary Joe on NBC, and Never Have I Ever on Netflix, to name a few of the things I've been on. Somewhere over there. If you still don't know what those are, that's okay still. Never Have I Ever on Netflix has been viewed by over 60 million accounts worldwide, making the #1 global charts each time a new season came out. So, someone, somewhere out there, knows my face. I'm not just a rando standing in front of you. I'm also a proud alumnus of Farmingdale. I graduated class of 2009 with an associate's in automotive engineering and a bachelor's of science in industrial management technology with a minor in business administration. Lots of big words on a thick piece of paper some 13 years ago. I then made a complete 180 in my career choice of trying to become a Formula One racer and became an actor instead to hopefully play a Formula One racer on screen one day, which is probably much easier. I then got into Harvard University so I can study for a master's in fine arts and acting, where someone gives you an even thicker piece of paper certifying that you can play pretend really well. Crushing it. I want to thank President John S. Nader and Vice President Matthew Colson for inviting me up here to speak to all of you, and to all the students, alumni, faculty, parents, and anyone else who is here in attendance, waiting for me to drop that secret to success sooner than later so they can get to lunch and have bottomless mimosas. Yeah! I was so excited when they asked, and then promptly after had a dear God, what did I just say yes to freak out moment. I spent the better part of 2 months trying to figure out what I could possibly offer to you, the class of 2022, who have been through the most insane past couple of years in the history of our generations, where your lives were uploaded to a virtual reality against your will as we slowly began our weird evolution or de-evolution into Laptosauruses and began communicating exclusively through these electronic devices we call smartphones, where human interaction became no more and people started to lose their minds because everyone realized how much human interaction was an essential part of being human. Hey, at least you have a head start on what life in the metaverse will look like. You should all give yourselves a huge round of applause for being the most versatile generation who so quickly were able to adapt to a drastically different landscape from what you signed up for. Yes, applaud yourselves. That should be front and center on all of your resumes. I made it through 2020, enough said. Luckily for all of you, the economy is in full swing, and we are in a historically low unemployment rate. And what's more, Farmingdale is nationally recognized for its graduates being among the top 2% of their early career earnings, so I am not at all worried about all of you getting jobs. You made it through 2020, you can make it through anything. But of course, they didn't invite me up here to tell you that you are going to make it through anything. They asked me to send you off with purpose. So, let me give you a little insight into my experience and some of the tidbits of wisdom I have picked up along the way through my highest of highs and my lowest of lows that I can hopefully pass on to you. I came to America in 1995, grew up in Queens, New York, went to Cardozo High School, and then midway through high school, my mother decided to uproot our entire lives and move to West Windsor, New Jersey, so that I can get a better education at one of the top high schools. Halfway through high school, where I had to leave all my friends behind to form new relationships and build brand new experiences from scratch, where I was unfamiliar with the upper middle class lifestyle that I just got transplanted into, we might as well have moved to a new country. My fashion sense became so confused as I was trying to fit in that I thought green cargo pants were in vogue, and I wore them regularly to my new high school where the girl I started dating, who later became my wife, who's here with us today, never lets me forget it. Honey, do you remember that time you wore green cargo pants in high school? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. My life felt so all over the place at the time. I didn't even know whether I wanted to go to college or what I wanted to do with my life. All I knew at the time was that I like cars and that I really, really, really hated being in New Jersey. So I applied to any out-of-state college I could find with a chance for me to study anything automotive, which is where I landed at Farmingdale. Farmingdale was a home to me for 4 years of my life, from 2005 to 2009, some of the most informative years that helped me grow into the person I am today. When I started, I was coasting for the first 2 years, being complacent in my little bubble of going from Dewey Hall to classes and from classes to Dewey Hall. I was cruising. I was just getting by. I even shocked one of my automotive professors, literally, not figuratively. We were in applied mechanics in my sophomore year where we were building an engine block from scratch. I was so excited to have made something from nothing that I didn't heed the professor's warning to wait before connecting the spark plug cable to the battery while he checked everything was okay, which resulted in him getting zapped. He recoiled so fast, the whole class looked on with stunned expressions on their faces of not knowing whether to laugh or to be concerned. And I swear to God, I thought he was going to kill me. He probably would have killed me if it wasn't for school policy, but settled instead for calling me an SOB and told me that he hasn't been shocked in over 10 years of him working on cars. And then I realized maybe working on cars wasn't really my calling. Not because I shocked the professor, but because I wanted to drive fast cars and not really fix them. And then one day in 2007, something happened that really shifted my mindset. My mother called me, hysterical, She was crying like I had never heard her before because we were completely broke. The housing market was about to crash, and as a real estate broker, she wasn't able to sell any houses and make a living because the banks were lending out monopoly money to people left and right that couldn't pay it back. Her house was getting foreclosed on, and my car that she bought for me so that I can go to school with got repossessed. She had to get a job working at Macy's making $7.50 an hour. I never felt so helpless in my life. I couldn't do anything to help her, and at the moment, she couldn't do anything to help me. If she couldn't afford my out-of-state tuition anymore, then I wouldn't be able to finish college, which meant I was going to be a dropout. I was so terrified, I literally couldn't breathe. I realized I had to stand up on my own 2 feet and push through the obstacles in front of me and finish my degree. I had to do something because there was no way I was going to drop out and go back to New Jersey. It smells bad over there. I went into full crisis mode. I sought as many options available to me as possible, contacting distant family friends so I can change my address and become eligible for in-state tuition, apply for grants, scholarships, student loans. I got part-time jobs wherever I could find. I worked all over this town while I was going to school, from Abercrombie and Fitch to coach at the mall to AMF bowling lanes to a teller at Roslyn Savings Bank. I even signed with a modeling agent in New York that my friend introduced me to. And then someone told me about becoming a resident assistant where you get benefits of housing and meal plan covered. Becoming a resident assistant was the best thing that could have possibly happened to me because it got me out of my comfort zone. It gave me a chance to interact with the student body and really develop my non-existent leadership skills, to lead by example rather than just phoning it in. One of my lowest of lows became one of my highest of highs. Farmingdale was the home to 19 Chinese international students that were affected by massive earthquakes that devastated their homes in the Sichuan province of China. I had the honor and privilege of being their student body liaison through the resident assistant program. I learned about the tragedy that they went through and how they overcame those odds to not give up and still find ways to make something of themselves. The resilience of their drive had an effect on me. And by senior year, I was on a roll. I was so motivated that I was stepping through every door that opportunity opened. I was kicking ass at school, making some side money to go drinking at changing times with my buddies. I started to make the dean's list and then president's list, where I met the former president of Farmingdale, Dr. Hubert Keene, who invited me and another student to go to Albany on behalf of the student body to lobby against tuition hikes and to get more funding for Farmingdale. Nope. I said to myself, man, this is kind of cool. I feel important to do something bigger than myself, to be a representative of something. My ambitions started to grow. I yearned for more of these public roles, but I didn't know what that would manifest itself into just yet. And by the time graduation came, I was on such a high with everything I accomplished at school, but also really unsure of which direction I wanted to go in my life. And then reality decided to slap me in the face. I spent the next 6 months applying to every corporate job I could find, living in New Jersey at my mom's house, which I hated. I told you, it smells bad over there. We were still in the 2009 housing crisis, and there wasn't a job in sight for me. No one was hiring. I even put I was willing to work for free $3.99 on my resume. I got so frustrated, and the only person calling me at the time was the modeling agent that I signed with back in 2007. He was so excited that I was finally out of school to go on these casting calls. I was like, screw it, why not? I stepped through the door that opportunity kept opening. I did something fun. I tried something new, went completely out of my comfort zone again, and little did I know, this was the genesis to my future. I booked my very first play so off Broadway that you needed a pirate's treasure map to find it. But there was this one lady in the audience who gave me her card. She was an acting agent. She was interested in me, but unsure because I had no experience or any training, and the only way she decided to sign me was if I promised to take acting classes and coach every time I got an audition, because she said I had potential. I took her words so seriously and took that as a sign by the universe that maybe this was a different kind of public role that I could be good at, which led me to grad school to study acting. And after 2.5 years of intense study in everything acting, I came out different than I went in. It changed me completely for the better. But this time, I came out with something good and something not so good. Something good was a strong sense of purpose, and something not so good was entitlement. As if I'm owed something just for getting my MFA at an Ivy League school, even though everyone, including the alumni to faculty and guest honorees, have all said, don't have a sense of entitlement. And what did I do? I moved to LA with a sense of entitlement. And what happened? Life slapped me in the face again. When I got there, I was flapping my pretending degree around like I had the Declaration of Independence, and literally no one cared. Let me repeat that. No one cared. But this time it was different. I knew my purpose. I had matured a little bit like fine wine. I finally found my passion. I knew what I had to do to get to where I wanted to be. And all the lessons I learned at Farmingdale and Harvard came rushing back to me. That when opportunity presents itself, simply say yes. I put my head down. I started to make a life for myself, created my vision boards, and then I got to work. I learned that my life and my career are a marathon, not a sprint. And finally, a break came 4.5 years later when I landed my first big job, which took me to an even bigger job, and I finally had some footing in the industry. If it wasn't for that painful phone call back in 2007, I wouldn't have been motivated to push myself. I wouldn't have been motivated to set goals for myself. And here's the honest truth. I wish I didn't need that at all. I wish I just decided to do those things, which is to dream big, to be fearless, and to set goals for myself. And that's exactly what I would tell my younger self when I go back in time with the time machine Elon Musk is going to invent in the metaverse. And to all of you, is that you don't need some sort of major event to happen to you in your life to find your way. That ambition is in all of us. And you should be fearless to really go after what you really, really want. And if you did need a major event for whatever reason, you just lived through a global pandemic. You persevered and you excelled, and you are sitting here today because of your resilience. That should be all the proof you need that you are achieving whatever you set your mind to. And for those of you who know exactly what you're doing after college, more power to you. But for those of you who are unsure or uncertain like I was, be open to the journey of life, because you never know which direction you will be pulled in. No one is going to have all the answers. Not me, not you, not your parents, not anyone sitting up here, not even my wife who's working on curing cancer. And the only place you might be able to find what you're looking for is on YouTube. YouTube University has all the answers you need. You just have to sit through 10 minutes of nonsensical blah, blah, blah to get to that 1 second of information that got you there in the first place. And so here is the key to success as I understand it. There is no key to success. There is no formula for how one makes it to the top of the podium. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. And it's okay to be lost and not know all the answers. Because when you get lost, you start asking the right questions, and that's when you start finding your path forward. You have achieved your first milestone in your journey of life. Go out there and be curious, be courageous, get lost, make mistakes, be relentless in your pursuit. But most importantly, put the work in. Check any entitlement at the door. Congratulations, Farmingdale class of 2022. You did it. You made it. Go forth and conquer.